The world is a wild and wonderful place, full of surprises from the most unexpected corners. From weird types of diplomacy that will have you scratching your head to the surprisingly soft side of some dictators, you'll find that this life has more twists than we can keep track of, and if that's not enough. Today we're also bringing you stories of bizarre rituals, festivals, and real-life kid superheroes who will make you believe in the extraordinary. Here are 5 most interesting facts exist in the world. 5. Our world has islands you definitely don't want to end up on. Getting stranded on a tropical island sounds like paradise, unless you wash up on one of the world's unsurvivable islands. For instance, off Japan's coast, Miyakojima comes with constant volcanic gas emissions, so much so that locals carry gas masks just to survive. Then there's the Farallon Islands near San Francisco, where the waters hide thousands of drums of radioactive waste dumped between 1946 and 1970. Not sketchy at all, right? And North Sentinel Island? Let's just say the locals are far from friendly. I mean, seriously, we even have a place called Snake Island. The worst of all, though, might be Gruinard Island in Scotland. It was once a testing ground for anthrax during World War II, and despite cleanup efforts, it's still a place you wouldn't want to stumble upon. 4. Bridges that will make your knees weak. Bridges are sometimes scary. Our world is full of breathtakingly beautiful bridges. Just think of Székely Chain Bridge in Budapest, Hungary, or the Helix Bridge in Singapore, or if fairy tales are your thing, the Raketsbrück in Görlitz, Eastern Germany. Stunning. But have you ever heard of Puente de Ojuela in Mexico? It's a swinging bridge high above a canyon. Then there's the hanging bridge of Gasa in Nepal, where just looking at it might make your stomach drop. And the ancient Quechua Bridge, part of the Inca Trail? Let's just say it's not for the faint-hearted. But the real monster is Hebei's Hongyaga Bridge in China. This beast spans 488 meters, 1,601 feet, across a 220-meter, 722-foot drop and has a glass floor, so you can see just how far you'd fall. And as if that's not terrifying enough, they designed it to sway. Oh! And it makes a cracking sound with each step. It gets a nope from me. 3. We have weird types of diplomacy. Diplomacy isn't always stiff handshakes and forced smiles. Sometimes it's way weirder and way more creative. Take China's panda diplomacy, for example. They've been lending out pandas since the days of Chairman Mao as a way to build relationships with other countries. But getting a panda is just a start. Lucrative deals often follow, making these pandas valuable political players. Then there's gunboat diplomacy, where countries use military muscle, like warships, to intimidate smaller nations into agreement. It's not subtle, but it's effective. But not all diplomacy is about brute force. Ping-pong diplomacy helped thaw relations between the U.S. and China in 1971, when a friendly game of table tennis led to President Nixon's historic visit to China. And don't forget Australia's koala diplomacy. So, diplomacy can be surprisingly cute, too. 2. The violent rebel groups you've never heard of. If there's one thing humans are great at, it's finding reasons to fight. Whether it's politics, religion, or land, divisions run deep, and they usually have a way of turning deadly. Ever heard of the Popular Front for Recovery? These are the guys credited with destabilizing Central Africa. How about the Front for the Liberation, or the Enclave of Cabinda, or Colombia's People's Army? The reality is that violent organizations can be found everywhere, and most of us don't hear about them unless they hit close to home and impact us directly. 1. The surprising first world perks in developing countries. When we think of developing countries, we often imagine them lagging behind in key areas. But the truth is, some of these nations lead the pack in ways you never expected. Take Uruguay, for example. It leads the Americas in transparency, outpacing even the U.S. and Canada, or South Africa, which stands as a global leader in LGBTQ+ rights. Not exactly what you'd picture, right? Then there's Mali, which tops the Innovation Efficiency Index, giving investors the most intellectual bang for their buck. Despite being ruled by a corrupt dictator, Azerbaijan boasts a staggering 99.8% literacy rate, higher than the US, UK, or Australia. And in Georgia, a country ravaged by poverty and Russian invasions, citizens actually feel safer than anyone else in the world. In a world full of surprises, it's a good reminder: don't judge a book by its cover or a country by its GDP. That's a wrap for today. Follow us for more facts.